Jar Jar Binks, a clumsy, pathetic life form, or a sidious, evil Sith Lord who is truly behind the downfall of the Jedi. First, let's look at Jar Jar's arrival. First and foremost, the actual chance of bumping into the Jedi as they are on their secret mission to negotiate with the Trade Federation is kind of suspicious. Jar Jar is randomly standing there, and it seems he is searching for something or someone. The theory points to Jar Jar looking for the Jedi, as it makes sense as a Force user for him to sense Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon's position. After meeting the Jedi, Jar Jar is seen leaping 20 feet into the air. Upon first seeing this, you may think nothing of it. The skill of jumping 20 feet into the air is only seen amongst Jedi and Sith alike. Furthermore, as Jar Jar leaps, he shrieks. The shriek almost sounds like a tribal Gungan cry. However, this also could be a Sith scream. In the Revenge of the Sith novel, it explains how Palpatine used the Sith cry to distract the Jedi, allowing him to kill them swiftly. Jar Jar could also possess this ability in the context that he is a Sith Lord in disguise. To further elaborate this, later on in the film, as the Jedi infiltrate Naboo, there is a scene where they jump the battle droids. Jar Jar can be seen holding onto a ledge. Pretty normal, right? Well, not exactly. A few frames later, he is seen on the complete other side of the balcony, which without force powers of some kind, this would be impossible. It would be easy to give this off as a continuity error, but how would this explain the droid who seems to be aiming at Jar Jar's initial position? And do note, Jar Jar is mainly digitally created or CGI, which implies Jar Jar's sudden change of position was meant, and we won't know exactly how this happened as it wasn't on camera. But the editing alone implies this was intentionally added. Jar Jar's force powers are very subtle, and what do I mean by subtle, you may be asking? Let's just take a moment and fully understand Jar Jar's luck. From stumbling into Jedi to becoming a senator of Naboo, his story starts with uncertain circumstances. When the Jedi are about to leave Jar Jar, he actually persuades the Jedi to bring him along with them. This isn't only any Jedi, however. This is Qui-Gon Jinn, one of the wisest Jedi in the Order. Jar Jar states that the idea is bad and that he can help. Immediately, the Jedi listen and Jar Jar is saved from certain doom. At Tatooine, Jar Jar is seen mumbling words. Is this an editing mistake? Well, the words mirror what Captain Panaka is saying. Weird, right? Later on, Jar Jar gets into a fight with the locals. This allows Anakin to help Jar Jar. If this event didn't take place, it's very likely that Anakin would have been left on Tatooine. So this one act is what started the whole Star Wars saga. Later on, as Jar Jar and Anakin are on the speeder, he says the Queen is pretty hot. This can be first seen as lighthearted. However, with the events of the Star Wars prequels, yeah, this may not have been a good idea. Jar Jar also has a way of mind controlling. Sith are known to slightly wave their hands as they mind control. This also happens with Jar Jar Binks. However, it's a little more subtle. This is seen when Jar Jar waves his way to a promotion to the Bombad General. This also happens when he promotes himself to Senate, and lastly, this also happens when he casually ushers the death of democracy and hands Palpatine emergency powers, which cemented the events of Order 66. In the Battle of Naboo, as Jar Jar is seen at the forefront of the battle, his movements can be seen as clumsy. However, in battle, he is always very successful. The movements of Jar Jar can be easily mistaken for clumsy. Looking further into this, we know the Jedi are inspired by real-life monks. Hence, the attacks replicate a lot of kung fu martial arts. Jar Jar Binks' clumsy and uncoordinated attacks perfectly fit with a martial arts style. This is called Zua Quan or Drunken Wushu. Here are some clips of the style. The style is meant to trick your enemies. You imitate a drunkard. In reality, the staggering and stumbling is the use of body momentum, unpredictability, and deception. This is used to lure enemies and to surprise them. Here is an example. Jar Jar is using the droid's weapon. Note that he's holding the weapon on his ankle. As he stumbles, he precisely shoots at battle droids. Here he falls. However, somehow he is subconsciously aware of the droideka behind him. With one shot, he destroys the droideka without even looking at it. Even as Jar Jar finds himself on a battle droid tank, he expertly releases the barrage of bombers on the front line of the enemy battle droids, precisely targeting multiple enemies. George Lucas himself even states that Jar Jar is the key to all of this, with the prequels mirroring the events of the original trilogy. We know that there is a mysterious character that turns out to be a very powerful Force user. In the original trilogy, it is found to be Master Yoda. However, in the prequels, it is unclear on who that character is supposed to be. You may say it's Yoda again as he fights Count Dooku. However, we already know of Yoda's power, so this wouldn't add up. This means that there needs to be a character we find on the side who later is found to be a very powerful being. This perfectly fits with Jar Jar's character. However, Jar Jar Binks never actually becomes a master of some sort. I think personally, as George was writing The Phantom Menace, Jar Jar Binks was meant to be a lot like Darth Plagueis. In the later episodes, there may have originally been a planned reveal of Jar Jar's powers. In fact, the original character of Jar Jar most likely was Darth Plagueis, but of course with the fan reaction at the time, this may have been cut and Darth Plagueis was created. At the end of The Phantom Menace, as Mace Windu and Yoda discuss about the potential of a Sith Lord, Yoda wisely states, "Always two there are." Immediately after this, the camera pans to Palpatine. However, Jar Jar Binks can be found to be right next to Palpatine. Two there are, and while Palpatine and Jar Jar Binks could definitely have been the two Sith in this scene. Even after the events of The Phantom Menace, Palpatine is often seen next to Jar Jar. Even Jar Jar's clothing points to this. Jar Jar is seen wearing darker clothes as the trilogy progresses. Characters like Anakin are seen often wearing darker clothing, and Sith in general often associate with dark clothing. Even Jar Jar's eyes are yellow. Sith have yellow eyes, and even if this weren't to be true, powerful Sith like Palpatine can use a Force cloak, which can disguise their Sith appearance. Jar Jar could be easily hiding his true appearance. Although far-fetched, it is a possibility. And with all the evidence provided, it's definitely likely that the goofy and light-hearted Jar Jar Binks could actually be the true Sith Lord behind the return of the Sith.